So that was Kyle throwing it back to 2010. He brought a camcorder out here like I did for my first Petit Le Mans in 2011, even though it's not his first Petit Le Mans. Caught Skeleton Spike losing some of his bones. We're here in Brazelton, Georgia. Not Brazelton, Brazelton, Georgia, here at Road Atlanta for one of my favorite races on the entire calendar year. It doesn't matter where it takes place in the universe. Petit Le Mans is one of the best events in the entire world. We're so excited to cover this race. We love covering IMSA. We love having things to talk about in October. We got a really stacked video, had a bullpen today, got to speak to a whole bunch of different drivers, including James Hinchcliffe, who's here racing with Pfaff Motorsports in their Lamborghini and GTD Pro. Now, Hinch was off in Mugello a couple of weeks ago driving a Haas Formula One car. We got to talk to him about that. Tristian Vautier is a huge story. He's kind of a last-minute addition to the number 93 Acura, as Acura goes for the Manufacturers' Championship. We'll talk about that. And we also talked to Kevin Magnussen. You might have heard of him if you are a Formula One aficionado. So a lot of stuff to go over in this video. I suppose we'll start with where we left off for IMSA a couple of weeks ago at the Indianapolis 6 Hours, and it was an overall win, the first of the year here in the United States for Cadillac, and more specifically for Whelen Engineering with the number 31 car. Now this team obviously was fastest today, not obviously fastest today, but they were fastest in FP2. The Cadillacs throughout the year have been steadily increasing in pace. They've been off quite a bit. It's been an off year for Cadillac. But we got to speak to Frederick Vestie about winning in Indy and his chances to repeat that win later on this year, or later on today, this weekend. I'll get it right eventually at Petit.
Yeah, honestly, we were all very pleased with that win. It was a special weekend. I just think we felt good from the start. In practice, we had a few things we wanted to change on the car, but generally speaking, we felt like we had the base for a good weekend. But having a good car and winning the race does not always correlate, because there is a lot of difficult challenges in a 6-hour race. But we kept our head down and made no mistakes and proved that we are race winners and deserve that as well. And just looking into Road Atlanta, it's one of our favorite tracks, especially for myself. I think having driven many tracks around the world, this one stands out as one of the cool ones. And having a 10-hour race that goes into the evening like a night race is really cool. So another win, I wouldn't mind.
So you may know there's a pretty significant lawsuit going on right now between McLaren and Alex Palou. Now that's taking place in England, and because of that, Alex Palou, originally scheduled to drive as the third driver in the number 93 Meyer-Shank Racing Acura ARX-06, he's not here. And the last-minute addition to that car was not Kaku Ota. A lot of people would have assumed that would be him. He's off in Super Formula this weekend after testing an Indy car for Meyer-Shank Racing at Mid-Ohio last week. So who did they call in last minute? It was Tristian Vautier, who viewers of this channel will remember him from a last-minute kind of exciting top 10 at Detroit, driving for Dale Coyne Racing. And what has Tristian Vautier been up to since then? That's how I started our conversation.
A lot of prototype racing, a lot in Europe actually. I've been in European Le Mans Series last year and this season, as well as the Le Mans 24, racing with CLX Motorsport with Pure X racing, and it's been good. I also was in IMSA, Daytona and Sebring with Proton Mustang sampling racing on the Porsche 963, so I got some miles with those GTP cars and some experience, and now I get to try a new one, so it's cool.
What was it like to get the call from Meyer-Shank Racing, hey, come on in, we're trying to win a championship here? How gratifying is it to get that call?
Yeah, it's always a good one when you get the call to go race for a constructor, and I'm replacing a four-time IndyCar champion, so no pressure, right? Big shoes to fill, but I don't underestimate the challenge. It's a very difficult race. There's a lot at stake, but I tried to get as ready as possible. The team gave me some mileage during a test and some simulator. Made me do some simulator work as well. So it's last minute, but they did their best to get me ready, and I look forward to it. I feel like I can do what they asked me to do. So.
So obviously racing in LMP2 a lot, you've had a lot of experience with an Orca chassis. Is there a lot that kind of comes across to race the Acura, of course, based on a similar car?
Not too much, to be honest. Lots of differences. It's more like, it's kind of a different class, right? Those cars are heavier, the GTPs, more power, but yeah, less downforce, more weight. So I'd say the Acura is the one that feels the most like an LMP2 or the older DPIs. It feels more like a prototype than a GT. Some of the GTPs feel more like a GT than a prototype, but still, no, very different cars. Also, a lot more to think about behind the wheel. The tire is tricky. You have to not abuse it, but you have to also push hard enough to keep it in its working window, and lots of systems with the hybrid. So yeah, a lot to manage, but it's very interesting.
Just kind of mention what your role in the team is going to be this weekend. I mean, what is your kind of goal? What is the team expecting of you when you're in the car during the race?
Keep the car in contention and keep it in one piece. Basically, I gotta make sure it's in the right spot for when Nick and Renger are gonna get in for the final push. I'm gonna be in more towards the middle of the race where. Yeah, it's IMSA, right? You gotta just keep the car in the game, and it's hard to do because you cannot fall into a false rhythm either, because then mistakes can happen as well. But yeah, I've done it before. Again, it's a tricky track for sure. It's with about 60 cars on track, it gets tight, but I feel ready for it, and I really look forward. It's a good challenge.
Now, in terms of the championship, the Manufacturers' Championship in GTP, there's only 7 points separating Porsche from Acura. So in a way, you could almost flip a coin and say whichever manufacturer finishes the highest will win the championship. I'm oversimplifying it, but that's essentially the way it will go. And as Tristian Vautier mentioned, it's going to be all about him just not fumbling the bag and allowing his much more experienced teammates to take that number 93 Acura to the front, if it can make it up there. More GTP stories, of course. We've been following the Aston Martin Valkyrie, the fantastic LMH car, the fantastic looking and sounding LMH car, the first LMH that's raced in IMSA. Of course, this is the last race of the season, and as we know, they've been steadily increasing in pace all year long. At times, they were on the podium at Indianapolis. They were uber competitive at the World Endurance Championship round in Japan just a couple of weeks ago. Got to speak to one of the World Endurance Championship drivers and one of the drivers who's racing here this weekend for the Aston Martin Heart of Racing Valkyrie, Alex Riberas, who we got to speak to at Sebring, and now at the last race of the season kind of gives us an update on where the Valkyrie is versus where it was in Sebring.
Yeah, honestly, just a dream come true to be a small part of this organization and this program. Obviously, it's not that long ago. It feels like, honestly, last week that we were in Sebring and you were there, and I was telling you about the car, but like literally all we cared about back then was, is the car going to be able to run, right? And can we make it the 12 hours? And if we do, that is a massive success. And now we are wondering for an hour whether to use this bar or this other bar or this different spring, or now it's all about optimization and racing and making sure we try to be competitive. And that's just to see the progress of the car, to see what the boys and girls from the Heart of Racing have done this year, especially after the summer break. It's really, really fun to be a part of, and also super impressive. I'm so proud of them.
And the thing about Petit Le Mans that we love and we also hate is the fact that while there's many, many stories here, many stories beginning, many stories continuing, a lot of them are coming to an end. And one of those is pretty sad, that the Lamborghini GTP LMDH program, hypercar program, whatever you want to call, comes to an end this weekend, the SC63. We spoke to Daniil Kvyat about that program and where he might end up next year.
I wouldn't say there are any particular expectations, for this race. I think all of us, we come here, we are competitors, we do our job without too much emotions, and we try to just extract the best of ourselves. And I think that's going to be the same case for this weekend, regardless of whatever noise is outside of the project and so on. So for me, I am always going to be doing that.
As this car has developed, you've been with the program for quite a while. Where is the car now versus where it began?
It's been tricky, It's been not an easy one. I'm not going to lie to you. It wasn't an easy campaign, if you want to call it that way. I think we started off with some quite big limitations on the car, which stayed there for quite a while, and there's nothing we could do really. We were just passengers in the car of what the limitations of the car were. I think as drivers and the team, we still did a very good job. We played very well with cars we had, and now lately this year again there was a big reshuffle at the beginning of the year. And obviously changing the team and everything, it wasn't easy, and I feel like there's just some small steps are being made now, but perhaps it's a bit too little too late now, because the program's coming to the stop for now, and we will see what the future holds, but for sure the direction of where the car needs to be improved has been identified, and there just needs to be the improvements just need to be made and produced.
What would you like to see for yourself as a driver next year? What would you like to be doing?
I mean, my inspiration is always I'm interested in hypercar racing. I really want to continue to put the experience I got this last couple of years into the winning some races in whether it's WEC or IMSA. But yeah, that's my kind of inspiration, and any other top category in racing is obviously also welcome. So there will be a lot of, let's say, looking around for me in the next couple of months, I guess.
And of course, Petit Le Mans, one of the things we love about Petit Le Mans is that there's always a great IndyCar driving contingent here. And one of those drivers is named Kyle Kirkwood. Got to talk a little bit of IndyCar with him, as well as what it's like to transition from an IndyCar, which he drove in Gateway just a couple of days ago, to a GT3 Lexus. I suppose we'll start with IndyCar because there are some pretty big changes coming to your team for next year. You got one teammate going off doing bigger, better things, and one coming in. What's your thoughts on working with Will Power? I know you two had a little bit of a tiff earlier this year, so what's that been like?
I love Will. I'll be honest with you. I've known Will since I started. Actually, I knew him in karting when he was karting and I was still karting. Met him there, and I think he's one of the most pure drivers in the sport and one of the nicest guys. And although people tend to think, oh, we had a little tussle at Detroit and that was a famous moment, right? But 20 minutes later, we're chatting it up, hugging each other. Like, we actually get along extremely well, so I'm excited to race with him.
And how big of a factor is him coming to Andretti Global, and how much is that going to elevate your program?
So we don't know yet, right? Like he's not under the roof just yet, but we're excited to see how he can elevate our entire program, right? We don't know exactly how that looks, but we can expect big things. That guy's got a pedigree almost greater than anybody else in the sport, so we're excited for it.
And of course, one of the great things about the IndyCar offseason is that we get to see some drivers branch out like you do here with the Lexus. But I mean, you're a regular here in the Endurance Cup for Lexus. So kind of talk about that opportunity and how different it is to jump in the RCF after being in an IndyCar for 6 months.
You know, at first it was extremely tough to jump between the two cars, and I would never trust the aids that a GT car would have, right? ABS, traction control, all that sort of jazz. And I couldn't really get to grips of both cars back and forth early on when I did it in 21, 22. But now I feel like it's very fluid. Like I drove an Indy car yesterday. I was at Gateway yesterday, a tire test with Malukas, and now I jump in today, and I feel like I'm back up to speed pretty quick. It's a fun transition. I love driving this car. The RCF GT3 kind of does everything right for a GT car. It's one of the only push rod suspension cars too, so it feels a lot more like an open wheel car than you might expect looking at it. So it's enjoyable. It keeps me active, right? IndyCar has such a long off season, so being able to do these races in the off season is incredible. Not only for just racecraft, but just getting yourself in the swing of things and learning a new discipline here. So it's a ton of fun. Also, you don't get the opportunity to drive with multiple drivers in a single car. So it's very it builds your confidence up, right? Because a lot of times you'll say something in a car and you're like, that's kind of what I feel, I'm not really sure about that. But then you have two other drivers to back you up with it, and you're like, okay, yeah, my mind's right. I'm not crazy here. So it's a lot of fun. I love doing these races.
And Road Atlanta, what a great track to run at here. But of course, I mean, with 50 cars out there, it's pretty crowded. What's it like to be in a GT car when you got LMP2s and GTPs? They're very, very impatient.
I think it's one of the toughest categories. Maybe P2 might be actually the toughest category in regards to traffic, because you have cars passing you and you have to pass cars. But GT, it's hard, right? When you're constantly looking in your mirrors, trying to predict where guys go and trying to put them in places that they don't lose time, yet you don't lose time too, is a very hard thing. It's not something I'm used to. It's a very new discipline, right? And especially around this place. This place is not that long of a track to have, 52 cars, I think, this weekend. That's an insane amount of cars around this place. So you constantly have traffic, and that traffic comes into massive play into how your race is going to end up, especially at the end of the race, right? So, new discipline I'm learning here, and I still don't have it as good as most of these guys out here, but I'm ticking away at it.
And finally, I've teased you long enough. James Hinchcliffe got an incredible opportunity earlier in this month, or the last 30 days, to drive a Haas Formula One car, current Haas Formula One car at Mugello. He did that with Romain Grosjean, and it's one of those things that's a dream of every racing driver, to drive a Formula One car. So I spoke to James Hinchcliffe about that. Listen to his answers. They're absolutely incredible. And then we'll cut in a little answer that Kevin Magnussen, who of course is very familiar with the Haas, had to say as well. And then we'll also talk to Hinch about Fox and, that sports car thing he's doing this weekend.
Man, yeah, how long are we rolling for? No, obviously an absolutely incredible opportunity, as you say, from Haas to give me the chance to jump in and give it an honest run. This wasn't just throwing a journalist in for a few demo laps. It was a proper kind of half-day test, and got to experience a bunch of different things, including multiple weather scenarios, which was not exactly on the game plan originally, but I guess it gives you a little bit of extra experience to draw from. But no, the team was incredible, and they were very gracious with their time and getting me up to speed, and then ultimately just the thrill of driving that thing is something that's going to be with me for a long time.
I mean, can you even describe what a modern Formula One car performs like? I mean, you obviously have a lot of very extremely fast single-seater experience, but what is a Formula One car like in comparison to an Indy car or like a sports prototype?
So, have you ever flown in an F-18?
No.
Then I can't explain it to you. That's about the only thing I think would feel. So it's an F-18 on the ground. I mean, it's when you start to really grasp what the capabilities of that car are, it's kind of brings your brain to another level. Obviously, Indy cars are phenomenal machines, and they're so quick and such a challenge to drive in a very different way. But when you really start picking apart what an F1 car is capable of, it's a completely different realm, and it's cool to experience.
Well, it's very quick, that's for sure, and I think I saw he drove it in the wet even, which is a shame. I would have loved for him to have a go in dry conditions, because it's very quick. But also comparing DPI to GTP, Formula One even more so, is just so predictable, very user friendly if you want. It's not actually that, it's not unpredictable in any way. It's not difficult to drive as such. It's hard to be quick, of course. But to drive it and to be in control is very very easy. So yeah, I can see what he means on the comparison to the plane.
You mentioned IndyCar. One of your other jobs, before we actually get to your job this weekend, is working for Fox Sports on the IndyCar side. They obviously bought a third of the series. You've been working very, very closely with them throughout the year. Can you just kind of describe and talk about how important Fox is to IndyCar going forward? Oh,
I'm pivotal. I think the commitment that Fox had right from day one of this journey together has really impressive to see. There was a lot of people that were part of the production that were kind of new to IndyCar racing, some that were new to motorsports in general. And what I loved so much about this year was watching each and every one of them systematically fall in love with the sport and start really being passionate about putting on a good product and really helping grow it. And then that was just brought to another level when Fox made that investment and bought into the series and the speedway. So a massive now literal stakeholder in the future of this series, and I think it's a great partner to have. I think they know what they're doing, and it's going to be advantageous for everybody.
James, a Lamborghini this weekend. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the last time you were in this car, they dropped it on your foot, correct?
Technically, yes, yeah.
Okay, so hopefully, there's nowhere to go but up from here. You just kind of talk about Road Atlanta, this circuit. You're very experienced here. It's an incredible track, but 52 cars is going to be tough to be in the middle category for sure.
Yeah, that's the big challenge here. It's one of the greatest tracks in the country. I love racing at Road Atlanta. I have since I first came here in 2005 or something. But Petit's a different beast. Daytona a little more spread out, Sebring a bit more room. When you're cramming 51 cars around this place, it's busy. But that's part of the fun of WeatherTech racing, right? And for me, it's been a while out of the car, so kind of getting back up to speed with the machine, up to speed with the environment. That's going to be the biggest challenge for us over this kind of first day of practice, but super excited to be back with FAF. We really just want to end the season on a high note.
Kyle mentioned the transition between the Indy car and the sports car, and obviously you just came out of a Formula One car. So what is the difference, going from a single-seater to a GT car, and how much of a transition do you have to make as a driver?
Yeah, I mean, look, they both have, seats, steering wheels, 4 tires, and an engine, and that's kind of where it stops. So you have to be able to sort of flip a switch, and I kind of relate it to, people often say, is it hard getting into a road car after you got out of the race car kind of thing, test day, race weekend, whatever? And the answer is no, because as soon as you sit in a road car, you acknowledge you're in a road car, and you're not trying to go. It's kind of the same thing. When you sit into an open-wheel car, you know you're in an open-wheel car. When you sit into a GT car, you know you're in a GT car. And so there's just something in your brain. It's like the difference between riding a bicycle and a tricycle, right? You get on, there's a fundamental difference. You don't have to overthink it. But for me, again, it's just, I think March was the last time I was in the car, so 7 months or whatever since I've been in it. It's just getting up to speed on all the procedural stuff and remembering where the buttons are and what does what. That's the harder part.
So what's so weird about this event is it really is Petit Le Mans. It's just so condensed, it's so quick. I feel like I've been running at 1,000,000 miles an hour all weekend long, or at least all day long. So here's the deal. Tomorrow, it's qualifications for Petit Le Mans. There's also a Michelin Pilot race tomorrow. That's the headliner. But we'll set the grid. There's qualifying, and that's it tomorrow. So we're going to have a good idea of who's fast, who's slow. And then it's going to be 10 hours on Saturday, and God only knows what's going to happen. But usually it's chaos here at Petit Le Mans. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. Subscribe for more motorsport content. We'll see you here tomorrow at Petit Le Mans for more coverage, and we'll see you then.